Well, hello there, Girl Scouts. My name is Candice Blair. I am the Girl Experience Manager at Girl Scouts of Central California South, and you are joining us for the first financial literacy class. Today's topic is simple savings, but I'm actually going to be joining you with some of my colleagues for the next few Tuesdays, where we're going to talk about all kinds of different aspects of financial literacy. And this is designed for our Girl Scout girls, but definitely please join us adults. I'm not afraid to say that I learn new things all the time about financial literacy, and these are lessons that can keep on giving. So today, simple savings. Let's talk about our timeline. So like I said, every Tuesday we'll be putting out either a video or a live class, depending on what the topic is. So today's a recorded class, and every Tuesday until the end of the year, we're going to have financial literacy classes that are focused on small chunks of financial literacy. We want to make sure that when we're learning in ways that are easily applicable to what we're doing as, Girl Scouts, but also just people. And as a child, your ability to use and benefit from money is different than when you're an adult. And we also want to be able to equip all different levels of Girl Scouts. So some of our lessons will be a little bit more geared towards our younger Girl Scouts. Some will be geared towards our older Girl Scouts, and you'll kind of see those things progress as we go along. The reason why we are starting these classes is that Girl Scouts really has 4 different ways of approaching the Girl Scout leadership experience, and one of them is entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship has a lot to do with having your own business and really growing a brand, but it also has to do with financial literacy, and it's sort of too big to take on at one time. So we hope that these smaller, shorter classes will help you learn some things about financial literacy and also help you grow in all of your different aspects of your Girl Scout journey. So let's talk about the supplies you will need for today. You're going to need 3 resealable bags or jars, a roll of masking tape, a piece of scratch paper, a pen, a pencil, or a marker. Any of those things are fine. And I'm going to stop sharing my presentation just so I can show you what I have. Hi, how are you? So when I say a piece of paper, it can be scratch paper. I have just a regular piece of paper. I think this tried to go through our printer and it didn't work so well, so it's good to use for this. And you're going to want to fold it into 4 squares. So in half and in half again. So that's one of your supplies. A pen or a pencil, you probably have that, or a marker. And then, let's see if I can get my three bags. And you want to have 3 resealable bags like this. And if it's the kind of bag that folds over, that's okay for this demonstration, but you'll want to get the kind that kind of zip closed. Or if you have 3 jars, my hair is going everywhere. If you have 3 jars, that's fine. We recycle our jars all the time. This is an old pickle jar. Just make sure you have 3 of them. Masking tape. We're just going to put a simple piece of masking tape on our bags and label them later on. And you'll need a pencil or a pen or a marker, just depending on what you have. Okay, so let's talk about simple savings. So we're definitely living in different times where having the opportunity to run to the bank or to get cash out may not necessarily work for us. Maybe we don't go out that much, we're staying at home, but simple savings really starts in your home. And although this is a Girl Scout oriented class, really these lessons can be learned and practiced at home. And then when you are able to get together again as a troop, you're going to be able to flex those financial literacy muscles. So the three things you're going to have on those jars or bags are going to help you break into three smaller chunks how you're going to spend, save, or give that money away. That might have been a clue. All right, let's go back to my presentation and I can show you what's next. So you have your supplies. It's time for a pop quiz. All right, one of those 4 squares that we made on our piece of paper is going to be for you to answer these 5 questions. So if you would like, pause the video here and get yourself ready for this quiz. Okay, hopefully you are back and you have your piece of paper, it's folded into your 4 squares. I want you to pick any one of those squares and write the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. Are you working on it? Okay, now for my daisies, if you're looking at the screen right now and you're like, I can't understand this, I don't read very well yet, that's okay. I'm going to read the questions to you and the options. And all you have to do is write A, B, C, D, or E next to the number of the question. So let's start. When it comes to saving money, I know I ought to be saving, but I never seem to be able to. B, I really enjoy saving. In fact, I spend a lot of my time and energy thinking about how to save. C, I have trouble saving money and this bothers me sometimes. D, I spend only for things I really need. Or E, saving comes naturally to me. I save regularly. So A, I know I ought to be saving. B, I really enjoy saving. C, I have trouble saving money. D, I spend only for things I really need. Or E, saving comes naturally to me. Write down what letter you feel best matches your feelings about saving money. I'm gonna get a little drink of water. All right, number 2. As far as credit cards are concerned, now, if you don't use credit cards because you're younger, you can use your best judgment on here. This definitely can be for our older Girl Scouts or adults. But let's just see how you feel like you want to answer. Number 2, as far as credit cards are concerned, I often forget to pay my credit card bills. I get a lot of warning notices because I haven't sent payments in on time. B, I don't mind charging lots of things if I know I can pay off my credit card bill quickly, but if I can't, I think about my credit card bill a lot. C, I tend to use credit cards often, but I always make the minimum payment. D, I prefer not to have a credit card at all. I use mine as little as possible. E, I avoid using a credit card. I prefer paying cash or check. So, as far as credit cards are concerned, I often forget to pay my credit card bills. I don't mind charging things if I know I can pay off my credit card bill. Or C, I tend to use credit cards often. D, I prefer not to use a credit card at all. Or E, I always use a credit card. I always avoid using a credit card. Ugh. Now, one way to think about this, if you are younger and don't have a credit card, think about, do you ever ask to have your parents buy something and you will pay them back later? So that's kind of one way to relate this to our younger girls. All right, number 3, when I want a certain item, but it costs more than I have, I'll buy it and I'll figure out how to pay for it later. Or B, I'll save for it first, then I buy it. Or C, I'll buy it or charge it even if I can't afford it. D, most things I want are not luxury items, so I can afford them. On occasion, when I do want something outrageous, I may buy it, but the purchase will make me feel uncomfortable. E, if the item is important enough to me, I'll figure out how to adjust my budget to buy it. If it isn't important, I'll forget about it. So when I want a certain item, but it costs more than I have, I will A, buy it and figure out how to pay for it later. B, save for it first, then buy it. C, I'll buy it and charge it. D, most things I want are not luxury items, so I can afford them. E, if the item is important enough to me, I'll figure out how to adjust my budget to buy it. All right, only 2 more questions. By the way, did I mention you can't get these questions wrong? It's really just your personality about spending and saving money. All right, number 4, when I am feeling down in the dumps. Now, a lot of people went to town or went crazy going online shopping when quarantine started. So I think there was a lot of packages going to houses. But anyway, this is the question that I think maybe applies to that. When I'm feeling down in the dumps, or I guess would be feeling sad. A, spending money does not cheer me up. B, hatching plans to make more money makes me feel better. C, spending money always cheers me up. D, spending just makes me feel worse. Spending has nothing to do with happiness. E is the last thing I would do, but putting more money in savings or a solid investment might lift my spirits. So, number 4, when you're feeling down, spending money doesn't cheer you up. Or B, hatching plans to make more money makes you feel better. Or C, spending money always cheers you up. Or D, spending money makes you feel worse. Or E, spending money is the last thing you would do. All right, I feel like number 5 is the most fun question. Are you ready? If I won $1 million in the lottery, my first reaction would be A, to be totally overwhelmed. I would not know how to handle it. B, to be very happy. I would immediately start thinking of how I could make that money grow and at the same time use it for my own enjoyment. C, to be wildly excited, realizing that from now on I can buy anything I want. D, to feel a little guilty, thinking about all the people that have nothing. I would think about how to use some money to help others. Or E, to feel shocked, or as the kids say, I would be shook. A little overwhelmed. Okay, I know all my cadets and up have clicked off now. To be shocked and feel a little overwhelmed and a little relieved that my future was now secure. So if you won $1 million in the lottery, you would be totally overwhelmed, answer A. B, to be very happy. C, to be wildly excited. D, to feel a little guilty. Or E, to feel shocked. Okay, now I need you to add up your answers. If you chose mostly A's, make sure you write that down. B's, C's, E's. So there's 5 questions. Hopefully you have one group of letters that stand out above the rest. She'll give us a moment. I'm sure the adults that are taking this quiz with me maybe have the same answers as their girls. Maybe have different ones. It's always interesting to me. Okay, let's see what this means. Excuse me. If you chose mostly A's, you are an avoider. You put off making money decisions. If you chose mostly B's, you are a collector. You like to see your money make money. If you chose C, you're a spender. You enjoy spending and you think a little bit about how to pay for your purchase. If you chose D, you're a thinker. You care about others that have less than you do, and you often feel guilty about having more than they do. And if you chose E, you're a miser. You know, that's kind of like a negative word, but anyway, you're a miser. You like to save every penny. You do not enjoy spending money. All right, so that just kind of puts this in a little bit of context of what your money personality might be now. You can change your money personality. I think everybody has their own gifts and talents and skills, but financial literacy, being able to save money, being able to make that money do what you want it to do, that's a skill. And guess what? Skills are learned. So if you got a personality type that you don't agree with or you wish you didn't have, that's all right. I'll tell you a secret. I used to be a spender. There was definitely a time where I didn't have the amount of money that I needed to pay for the things I had. And so credit was definitely a large portion of my, my life as an adult. But further on in the series, I will share how I graduated from community college and from Fresno State with 0 student debts and 0 debt, and how you can do the same thing with a few adjustments. I know we're living in a different economy. I definitely understand. But let's talk about the 3 ways that you can make your money work for you today. Okay, 3 ways to simple savings. So you'll see a young lady with her hands out with a whole lot of $100 bills. And that is our spend category. Got to do it. You got to do it. And the second type of simple savings is saving. So we have a jar of coins here with something growing out of it. That's signifying that you can make your savings grow. And then our last category is give. So we have some hands together and they have this beautiful heart that's made out of a rock. And it's signifying that the third category of simple savings is to give. So I'm going to come back to our 3 bags. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Perfect. Okay, so if you haven't done this already, you're going to label either your 3 bags or your 3 jars or your 3 vessels. The only thing that I recommend is that whatever you're using, make sure that you have 3 of them and that they're clear, okay? So you're going to label 1 bag, spend, okay? And I just used regular masking tape. I think I got this masking tape from the Dollar Tree once upon a time. We're going to label 1 item save. And we're going to label 1 item give. You can also do this on your jar, just like I showed you. Not a big deal. So let's talk about spending. So spending money, one of the 3 simple ways to save. Now, I know what you're thinking. Spending is not saving. Spending is not saving. Well, that's true. But in life, there are going to be things that you need to spend money on. And maybe you as a younger Girl Scout don't use your money to spend, but you use your parents. And this is why this conversation is so important, because you may not have the physical money in your hand or in your bag, but when you ask your parents to buy you something, you're actually spending money. So let's do a for example. You are at Target and you love Stuffies. I mean, Stuffies are the best, right? and you really want a Stegosaurus stuffy, and you don't have any money, but you ask your parents, can I please get this stuffy? Look at him. He's orange. He's a Stegosaurus. I need him. So you ask your parents to spend their money. Now, the other way that this could work is that maybe you have some money from birthdays or Christmas, or maybe you have an allowance, or you do chores. You can spend your own money on that. This also applies for school. Sometimes, I know when we did back to school shopping, there were certain things that my dad was happy to buy for me, pencils, paper, that sort of thing. But if I wanted something special, like a pencil pouch or a new backpack, and I already had a backpack, I definitely had to use some of my own money on that. So spending isn't just for adults, and it isn't just cash. Sometimes you're using other people's money, and that is definitely more of the reality as a kid than not. Now, let's talk about being a Girl Scout and spending money. So sometimes when you're in, when you're in your troop, you decide that you, as a troop, maybe, you're a group of juniors, and you decide that you all want to do, let's see, what's a fun junior badge? You all want to do the space science badge as juniors, and you realize, well, okay, so we got to pay for the badges. We need to buy the badge booklet. So you ask your troop leader to buy those things, and you're spending troop funds for that. So just because it's not the physical cash in your hand like that person had, I don't know that I've ever had that many $100 bills to fan out. I mean, like in my bank, but not on my person. Just because you don't have the physical cash doesn't mean you're not actually spending money. And this is important for you to think about, because we live in a time when it is really easy to spend money. And I will tell you, there are some really sneaky ways that we spend money. And when I say we, I mean all of us do it, almost all of us. I bet if you're watching this video, you do these things. Ready? Streaming subscriptions. So you, as a family, have maybe streaming subscriptions like Netflix, Disney Plus. Maybe you have the upgraded YouTube so that you don't have to watch all the commercials. That is an expense. And you're thinking, it's $14.99 a month. That's not a big deal. And then it just comes right out of your credit card or debit card. But it is an expense. You're spending money. Okay? Put those two things together. Okay? Phone apps. Okay. I am really, really resistant to buying phone apps, mostly because there are so many good free apps, but the in-app purchases are sometimes where they get us, right? So very easy to spend money that way. The third sort of modern day thing that we spend money on, and used to not be as common, I would say within the last 10 years, it has definitely become more common, and that is beverages. Okay? We, as a population that live in the Central Valley, so all my friends from the Central California South area, it's hot here 9 months out of the year. I don't think that's an exaggeration. It's at least 80 plus 9 months out of the year. Okay, and that's okay. I love the sunshine. I love the heat. I'm not outside right now, but it is very, very possible that wherever you're going, you're going to need a beverage. And although this, I can tell you right now, cost me 37 cents with CRV from Costco, it is not as inexpensive as bringing my own water bottle to whatever I go to. And normally I don't drink water bottles. It was really for the purpose of this. But let's say you are going to your brother's soccer game and you forgot to bring a bottle of water, and you ask for Mom, can I have $1? You go to the bottled water dispenser and you realize, oh, it's not $1, it's $1.50. That's the reality more so these days. Or You guys are stuck at home quite a bit. Me too. I feel ya. And you want, and your parents take you to get a treat. Maybe you get to go to Starbucks and you get a strawberries and cream frappuccino. All of those things add up, and maybe it's just $1.50 here, or for the strawberries and cream, let's be honest, it's probably about $3.75, $4.25. And it's something simple, but it costs money. That's spending money. And maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe you have, you know, like the nice young lady in the picture have, you know, like a whole fan of $100 bills, but getting in the habit of understanding where you are spending your money is a very important part of simple savings. So for 1 month, I want you to try to put all the money that you spend in your bag or jar. Now, I know I just said you're probably spending a lot of your parents' money. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to write down, so that piece of paper that you took the quiz on, those other 3 boxes are for spend, save, give. You're going to write down all of the ways that you've spent money, even if it isn't your money, okay? We're not going to count the place that you live, the cost of internet, that sort of thing. We're going to call those regular household expenses. But the things that are specifically for you as a Girl Scout, so my friends that like to go online shopping, so if you ask your parent to buy you a book online, write it down. If you have a subscription service that is specifically for you, I get magazines, and I also get an Audible book every single month. So I would have to write all those things down. And once you start documenting all the little ways you spend money, I bet you'll be surprised. Then you're going to cut that piece of paper out and you're going to put it in your spend vessel. And if you actually physically have the money, you can put it in here too. But I think if you're spending it, you're probably going to need to spend it. All right, so that's your spend one. Let's talk about save. Now, one of those personality types loved to save. And one of them loved to save so much they didn't like to spend their money. So this one will probably be much easier for those personality types. Now, I'm the kind of person that I do conscious savings, meaning like I know that I'm taking some money out of my paycheck every month and putting them in a very deliberate place. And then I also have unconscious saving, meaning that there are some funds that come out without me ever seeing them. And that's what works for me. But you may be different. Let's talk about saving. So saving doesn't mean anything unless you know what you're saving for. So later on, we'll talk about setting goals and kind of going for bigger things. But let's just talk about why you would need to save any money. Okay, where are my older girls? Okay, I see you. My older girls, when you're in a troop, you are probably saving for some big trips. Big trips we can't go on today, or probably not tomorrow either, but you're saving for those trips. Maybe it's a big trip to Yellowstone. I was actually supposed to go to Yellowstone this summer. It's okay. It'll be there when it's safe. So you save for big trips as a troop. You may also save for those type of trips as a family. Maybe your savings is more towards like buying souvenirs or paying for extra stuff. You probably, as all Girl Scout troops, save to go camping. I couldn't bring a real fire into my house. You know why. There are things that you save for as a troop, older girl troop, that sort of thing, younger girl troop, that makes sense for that. But that may not be what you save for in your individual life. So let's talk about that too. So, sorry, I know that was really loud. I wanted to show you, so this is the bank that my 5-year-old uses. He earns commissions when he does chores above and beyond what he normally has to do. But what he saves for is going to be totally different than what you save for and what I save for. I'm actually saving for something really, really silly, which is like a decal for my car. It's such a grown-up thing to buy. Okay, so I have a car where you open up and it has like the lift, you know, but I need to have the decal so it doesn't scratch the bumper because anyway, this is a real grown-up thing to buy, but it's like over $200. I don't understand why it would be that expensive, but it is. So I'm saving for it because it's outside of what I would normally spend on something like that. So let's break that statement into some chunks. I am saving for bloop, iWatch. Okay, let's just say that. I am saving for an iWatch. I know it costs, I don't know, I've seen them for like $199, $159 sometimes if you get like the one that's the older version. And it is outside of my normal spending money. So your normal spending money. So maybe you have $20 in spending money. That is less than an iWatch. So I'm saving my money for that. And that way I can purchase that thing. Okay? So that is really how simple savings is on paper. So what I want you to do is think after this class, what is something that you may want to save for? I know for me, a big thing, I know that when I talk about school, it can be kind of a sore subject because we're not probably going back to school in the way that we are used to, but things will be back to normal. And there will be things to look forward to, I promise. And maybe those are the things that you want to save for. Maybe you know that as a class of seniors, you usually do a class trip. I know when I went to high school, we did a trip to Disneyland during our senior year, but the students had to pay a portion of that. Or maybe you know that there's a training camp that you want to go to, not need, you want to go to in the spring, and you need to save some money for that because I fully understand those specialized training camps for sports or music or theater, they seem to cost quite a bit of money. So those are the kind of things you save for. We will talk during another class about earning money. That's kind of a longer conversation. So as a troupe, you definitely have different ways of fundraising than you do as an individual girl. And every family is different. Every family has a different sort of structure and how these things work. So we'll leave it at that part, the savings. But one note about your bag of savings. So let's say that you want to take some of the money from your spend fund and put it in your savings fund. Awesome, do that. But unless you write it down, unless you have a purpose and a way to tell that money that this is what you're saving for, depending on your personality type, you may get that, urge to spend it. I'm going to tell you that dollar spot at Target gets me every time, and my son is the same way, and we both kind of look at each other like, but it's only $1. You don't want to use your money that you've been saving for something that you want to buy eventually. So when you write it down, you make that money have a purpose, okay? When you write down the money you spend, you are creating recognition. And that just means that you are acknowledging that you spend money in certain ways. And it can be as simple as asking your parents for $1 for the ice cream man. Although I don't think there's anything that's $1 at the ice cream man anymore. Anyway, let's move on. Number 3, give. Now, Girl Scouts do not have a problem giving. We are a very generous group. But unless we have a plan, like we've told the other 2 funds, it really doesn't mean as much. Now, let's talk about our friend Triceratops again. Now, let's pretend like there is a Triceratops sanctuary, and me as a girl, I just keep saying Triceratops. This is Stegosaurus. A Stegosaurus sanctuary. And I want to give some money to the Stegosaurus sanctuary, but I need to make sure that I tell that money that this is where it is going to go. Okay? So I'm going to put whatever money that I feel I want to give to the Stegosaurus sanctuary in my give bag or give jar, give envelope, whatever you choose to have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down in that third box on my scratch paper what I want to give, okay? And this is something that it is a really good conversation to have with your parents. And if you as a troop are giving to an organization or doing a collection, that sort of thing, this is a great conversation to have with your troop. And you can do this via Zoom. Believe me, these are great planning things to do now, because we are going to see a lot of not just people, but organizations that would really like to have our help, whether that's giving of time, money, talent, that sort of thing. So right now, make those plans. So for me, I know that we as a Girl Scout Council, okay, this is like brand new information. You'll be the first ones to hear it. We're doing something really fun for the month of October. Hold on. Whew. All right, got my fun hat on. And there we go. All right, so we're doing something really fun for the month of October. We are collecting birthday party supplies in honor of Julia Gordon Low. So our plan is that if we are not able to meet as we normally do for Julia Gordon Low's birthday and have a big birthday party, we want to make sure that other girls and organizations can have birthday parties throughout the year. So we're going to ask all of our troops in our council to collect simple birthday supplies. Now, it could be a box of cake mix. It could be party hats. I don't know about you guys, but I seem to always have like just random party supplies from birthday parties. Like we had 3 or 4 of these hats, which won't work for another party, but we could definitely put together a birthday bag to go to a homeless shelter, to go to foster kids, to go to our sister troops that may not have the funds to have birthday parties for their Girl Scouts. So when that announcement comes out, you as your troop can decide whether or not that's something you want to participate in. But Julie Gordon Low's birthday is October 31st, which is also Halloween. And we want to be able to donate many, many birthday bags to organizations that can use them and will really benefit from the fact that this year is going to be tough for some organizations and they won't be able to spend funds on celebrating birthdays for the different children in their organization. So that's one example. Another example, there we go, is our friend Steggy again. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Build-A-Bear does a program where you girls build bears and they donate them to different organizations in your community. So last summer, we had girls that built bears and they were donated to kids that were in the hospital at Kauai Delta. I couldn't think of the name of the hospital. At Kauai Delta, they're seeking treatment. So there can be big things you can give. There can be small things that you can give. As an adult, I definitely take my giving very seriously. There are organizations that I give to on a regular basis. There are organizations that I give to once a year. And it's my way of showing that I support that organization and what they're doing, and I want them to flourish. And one way that I can do that is to give. Now, this may not be the bulk of your money. the bulk of your money may be in your savings bag, or most of your money may be in your savings bag. I mean, spending bag, savings on the brain. That is okay. Life is all about learning. And sometimes in your life, you're going to spend more than you save. And sometimes you're going to give more than you save. But at the end of the day, financial literacy is all about flexing those muscles that you have in your brain that show you that there are things that your money can do for you, but you have to tell it how to do it. Money's an inanimate object. It'll just hang out there if you let it. It will probably be happy to be spent at Target too, though. So when you approach money with intention, meaning doing things on purpose, that makes you the one that's in charge of that money. I'll say that again. When you approach your money with intention or doing things on purpose, that puts you in charge of that money. Now, this means that even if you're the girl that doesn't, get an allowance and only spends a little bit of her parents' money to get a few things here or there, you are still in charge of that money, okay? We'll talk about needs versus wants and making choices and that sort of thing in another class. Just wanted you to get those 3 simple things first. So I'm going to share my screen one last time. All right, so we will be having these classes every Tuesday. Sometimes they'll be live, sometimes they'll be recorded like this, and it just depends on what the activity is and if we have a guest speaker. Usually if we have a guest speaker, we will do those classes live. But next Tuesday, you will join me back here on YouTube for another class, and we're going to talk about what is the cost. And for my older Girl Scouts that are thinking that they're ready to get a credit card or maybe going into college soon, we're going to be talking about credit and how to build credit and what the true cost of having loans are. All right. So if you have any questions about what you learned today, you can email me at program@girlscoutsccs.org, or you can comment on this video and I will make sure and get back to you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.